Hey, my name is Margaret Wong, and today we have an awesome guest. So I'm so glad you're listening to us and joining us. Here I'm introducing Miss Reddy, Radhika, my old friend. Um, our producers somehow lucked and found her, and when they gave me her name, that's one of our guests that I need to interview about died. I said, "Oh my gosh, my old friend. We've known each other, I don't know, for more than 30 years. Of course, she's a lot younger than I am. Hello, Miss Cindy. How are you, Miss Reddy?
Pretty
Oh,
good.
oh my
I was so
gosh,
glad to
my
hear.
old friend. Yes. I don't mean to cut you off, but we have so much to talk about. So tell our guests about you. We actually traveled together, and tell us who you are, because the whole topic is to talk about men and women of color who really became extremely successful, not just in sales. I mean, anybody can talk a good talk, but really have production, prove it, and made us all of us very wealthy, prosperous, and be happy. So can you introduce yourself to us, please?
Yes, I'm Radhika Reddy, an immigrant from India. I came about 30 years ago with a Rotary International Scholarship, 1 year exchange student, and with $20 in my pocket and the 1 year exchange student, came to this country. And I think for 30 years, like you, Margaret Wong, I've been working 80 hours a week and still do that. And slowly, bit by bit, I started with international business and tax and got into real estate finance and tax and built a business. And now I'm into real estate development. So over the past 30 years, had quite a journey. And only in US, this kind of success is possible with hard work and ability to do well if you work hard.
Yes. And can you tell us how you develop your expertise in the whole 50 states of America about your tax, and what does that mean, and how do you work with the government? Because I'm always scared, when I see the government. Yes.
I mean, so basically, we specialize in urban finance, public-private finance. So we go into low-income communities. A lot of the downtowns like Cleveland, Akron, Toledo, and low-income communities all across the country that have urban development projects, real estate development projects. We put together the financing, very creative public-private finance. There's a lot of incentives, like for historic buildings, to save historic buildings. You have federal historic tax credits, 20%. You have state historic tax credits. You have new markets tax credits, which bring about 20% to the project. We have a chip financing, energy improvement districts, PACE financing, all these creative public-private financing tools we bring together to make these projects in low-income communities happen. So we work with developers all across and with community development entities that bring together this type of creative financing to help projects and revitalizing and catalyzing downtown in low-income areas of cities.
Good. Are you worried? Because right now, immigration is, because that's all I do is immigration with Homeland Security. A lot of times when America, especially our government in the past, maybe even really started under Obama and under Bush, if they don't like what people like us are doing, we are the easy targets because we are the messengers. We help people develop projects in low income area. You know how that housing bus, the government indicted both city, state, county, especially in Cuyahoga, Cleveland. I mean, everybody was being indicted and, saying people are defrauding the government and stuff. But you were clean for the past years and years. How do you do that? How do you work with the government, but in a sense, protect yourself against investigation and fraud? And even our Cuyahoga County executive is being investigated. Everybody's investigated, but you remain that impeccable reputation. Can you explain to me how you do it?
Yes, I always believe in doing what's right. We never use anyone, never get ahead with illegal means. We strongly believe in being very ethical. My father in India was kind of equivalent of the FBI. It's called CBI. He was the head of that. So it taught us, he was in anti-corruption. So he taught us, no matter what, to always be honest, straightforward. We've never broken the rules. Even against high government pressure, he stood up against corrupt people and always fought the fight, even against the risk of his own life and his kids' lives. So I developed that integrity from my father in India. And I have not faced that. I have not come across corruption so much here in the US compared to other developing countries. So for me, it's been very important to have high integrity, have never to do anything wrong so you can sleep at night and have inner peace. Because when you get into this bad stuff, it's hard for you to sleep at night and have a clear heart and conscience. So throughout my life, that's the single most factor in my life, very high integrity, never do anything wrong. Otherwise, you can't be peaceful in your heart.
Yes.
So that's my fundamental value.
And when you and I travel with Team Neo, you and I went on some trips together and we had so much fun, even though we traveled with very important people. And you and I, we just had, because you know the countries, you know how it is in foreign country. Can you introduce us to your family? Because this is a typical story of how American public and American media, they see immigrants like us. And the second question I have, and you need to remind me, Ms. Radhika, is to talk about the dark skin, because I'm always touched by your, because you and I go on conferences together and we talk about our dark skin and white skin and stuff, but that's a second issue. But the most important issue is I was so touched by your generosity when we were in India. There's a whole group of us, not just you and I. And these are important people who represent Ohio, North Carolina, New York. And you really introduced us to your family. And your family is very upper middle class. So it's very different from a view of American public. Oh, these are Indians. They come from a poor family. Because if they're rich, they would never come to America. Or why do they even want to come on a J visa, which you were, and you went to Case Western, you got your master's and stuff like that. So can you explain to me your family? And it's only two of us, but we need to dispel the observation that most of us immigrants came from nobody. We had to file for asylum. We have to, really struggle. And we do. You and I do struggle. But it's just we are uneducated. So tell me about more about who you are and your family and the package of ideas that you have, please.
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned, my father was part of the government in India. He was in the CBI, which is the FBI equivalent, and he was very much in anti-corruption. And it's a good middle-class family. But, in India, there is a lot of corruption and all that, like, in China and all that. So when it's very bureaucratic, sometimes it leads to a lot of corruption. So my father did fight against that a lot in India. And it was hard. They tried to get him, they threatened our lives. So it was hard, to be honest. And you need influence and stuff like that in India to get things done because, it's hard to go ahead on your own. But that's what I loved about the US. Even though we were well-to-do in India and we did good, I loved the freedom and independence in US. You can come here on your own. I have nobody here, but succeed just on your own. Hard work, education, the single most factors I credit to our success in this country. And that's only possible in the US. And you don't need to know anybody to get ahead in life here. And that's what I like about this country, and that's why I stayed on.
Good. And you also introduced us to your uncle, who's the head of that train, the Metro, and that office is actually it's not like American officials, right? So they're beautiful offices, but your uncle is also a very powerful and important man. Through private funding, they built that railroad. I don't know how. It's just a very awesome project when I was looking at it.
Yes, definitely. It was actually my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, N.V.S. Reddy. He is another very honest bureaucrat, but he brought about the first public-private partnership to build a metro rail throughout Hyderabad, connecting all the dense cities and doing real estate development all across these railway stations, and making it very efficient. It was the first model. He received an international award for the first of its kind, and in the lowest budget that anyone has done with public-private partnership. It was being done with the private industry to be transferred again to the government. So it's a phenomenal success, and really, it took a lot, took many years to make. He had to deal with a lot of, moving temples out of the way, trying to get access to roads, a lot of, bureaucratic hurdles that he had to go through. In a democratic society, you need to get the buy-in of people. So it took years and years, but he did make it happen, and it's a landmark project. He won the international award for these type of infrastructure projects in the entire world. So it was the lowest cost public-private partnership for transportation.
And to give our listeners an idea, because I learned it, through the years, we made a lot of good friends. The important thing historically, India is a country, because it was just like us, Hong Kong. India and Hong Kong, both of us were British colonies, and then of course you have Gandhi, who went to England and learned the whole non-violence and stuff. So historically, and India is still the same way. It's the civil servants. It's all on merit. I mean, you can't say I came from wealth, I can buy it. You can't. So it's just like the olden China, about 100 years ago, you have to take a lot of exams. So the fact that Miss Reddy's father and brother-in-law and a lot of their family have to take these civil exams, in spite of the dark skin, these are merit. That means they have intellect. I mean, you couldn't just say, "Oh, I'm rich. I'll get my son and daughter a good job in these." I mean, this is totally exam, and what school you went to. I mean, it's just like Hong Kong and China. I mean, maybe not China, but very difficult to get this government. Now, my next question to you, Ms. Reddy, and I think our listeners would be very interested in quite a few presentations you have given through the years, when both of us were very young. You have always talked about your dark skin, how sometimes you express some anger. And the first time I heard it, I was personally amazed. I thought it's only happened in China and Hong Kong, dark skin versus. Can you explain to me your? And now, of course, they're now talking about the whole the hate Asian crime and stuff. And now they're talking. You've been talking for 30 years. So can you please explain to me how you felt and about the dark skin, both in America and India and overseas in all the Asian countries and the AAPI community?
Yes, I mentioned when they talk about discrimination against, dark-skinned people and all, I mention every time that it's not only a U.S. phenomenon, it's all over the world. Even in India, there was a lot of discrimination against dark skin. As you met my family, most of them are very light-skinned. My sister's parents are very light-skinned, so I was the only dark-skinned person in my family. And people used to come and say, "Hey, why are you so dark? What's wrong?" And it's kind of like, what can I do? So there was discrimination all across the world. And even in India, political correctness isn't that much there. But they used to have matrimonials ads in the papers, and they used to say brides wanted only fair skin. So there is that type of preference internationally for fair skin. And as you know, even in Asia, China, people put umbrellas so they don't get dark because it is kind of dark skin is discriminated. So it's not only a US thing, it's all over the world. There's definitely a preference towards white skin. And it exists. It's not only, and you just got to live with it. There's not much you can do. And don't let it bother you. If there is discrimination, just accept it. And hopefully, don't let it get to you. Okay.
Yes. Great. I just saw that Miss Simran is also, yes, Miss Simran had talked about and emailed us. So Miss Simran, I want to say hello. Miss Reddy, you and I are also good friends with Miss Simran. I don't know if she can hear us, but Miss Simran is one of the powerful jewelers in America. Her family. Oh, Miss Simran is here. Oh my gosh, hi. So she sells a lot of beautiful stones. she has a lot of her families in Burma, and that's another myth that, oh, we have someone with the last name is Kahal. Miss Simran is Dr. Simran is a professor at Kent State and also at John Carroll. She had tried, and she is still trying to recruit a lot of young entrepreneur students from India, and the world is not just India, from China, to John Carroll, which is a Catholic Jesuit university, just like Notre Dame in Indiana, to come to America for 3-week courses, how American people in the 200 years of history on entrepreneurship. And most of these kids came from pretty wealthy families. For them, it's more like, that's what Miss Kahal is always talking about. Oh, I need to bring them to New York. I need to bring them to DC, because their point of 3-week trip to America, aside from learning about entrepreneurship, is to show them the beauty of Americas and stuff like that. So, hey, Ms. Simran, I just want to say hello. And Ms. Radhika is with us, is also a good friend of yours. So and she is another myth breaker. Not only is she a professor, she's a jewelry designer. Her family is wealthy. Her mother owns a lot of beautiful stones, actually. And she always say, oh, this is my mother's, this is my, this and that. And I said, oh my gosh, when is your mother going to not pass away, but somehow, so we can see her beautiful jewelry. But Burma is really going through hell now. So my prayers are with her. She actually went to Burma a lot until this rebel, and met with Miss Sue. I can pronounce her name the way Miss Simran pronounced it. So that's another very, very successful woman. And I'm so glad she's listening on to us. And Miss Radhika, how do you become so successful? I mean, how did my producer even found you? Because I just let them do the show, they run with it, and they gave me a name, and I did my interview, and it turned out it was you. I'm like, gosh, how did you do that? That shows that because they're in Atlanta, they're not in Cleveland. You are so awesome. Yeah.
On the website, she looked up, but yeah, I mean, I think in this country, if you have education and if you work hard.
Pierre is here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
hi, Mr.
Pierre.
Pierre. Oh my gosh. Oh, my friend. How did they even know you and I are on? Did you tell?
I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh my God. Hi, Pierre. Hi, Simran. Oh my gosh. Our whole group is
Simran,
here.
how are you?
Yeah. Pierre is from the Lebanese community. Pierre is awesome. Pierre, whenever he goes to an important meeting with the senators and the congressmen, of course, I'm very quiet. I can, I'm scared. Not scared, but intimidated. Pierre would say, Miss Wong, Attorney Wong, you tell me what you think about it. I'm not like, oh, Pierre, you saved my life, So I'm sorry. I cut you off. Yeah. So tell me about yourself.
Hi, Pierre, and hi, Simran. All mutual friends, so that's great. I think in this country, definitely hard work, education, and being open to opportunities. I do feel, in my case, finance and computer systems, getting a master's in that has helped me. I feel that's kind of the heart of many companies. So I was able to do some transform a few companies and build slowly, bit by bit. It didn't happen over time. It took me. First 3 years, it took 3 years to even break even. And then, over 30 years, slowly, step by step, you keep building and make some smart investment decisions and keep proceeding.
Yeah. And you don't have to ask. I'm so sorry. You don't have to answer my question. It may be too personal for you, but that's only because I know you for so long and we talk often about it. And one of my comments and your comment is to be successful as a minority woman or majority woman or whatever. It's always easier if you're single, you have no children, if you're divorced, or something, because then we don't have like the maybe the baggage or stuff to raise the kids. You have a sick husband or something, or nagging husband. Do you mind telling me about your marital situation, what you went through, or you're uncomfortable to talk? This is too public for you. I find the story fascinating. That's all.
No, it's okay.
I find it totally fascinating. And I don't want to put you on the spot. It's just a little, I don't even think people are, it's just something. I think it's a awfully successful, inspirational story, what you had to go through, and you don't have children. And are you comfortable talking about it? Or if not, we can chat about it later.
Okay. No, I can just briefly touch on it. So as you know, in India, the parents arrange marriages, so they find people, similar social standing, this, that, and they arrange marriages. So you get to meet the guy maybe 15 minutes or so. So you don't normally know who you're getting married to. So yeah, of course, I had an arranged marriage maybe, I don't know, 40 years ago or something. But seemed very male chauvinistic, didn't want me to work, wanted me to sit at home and be like a maid or chef, which didn't suit me. And he turned out to be a bit violent alcoholic. So I got out of a bad situation, and I'm very happy because that did free me up without without having kids and having left the marriage, getting a divorce. At that time, there was only a 1% divorce rate in India, but my family supported because he was a violent person. And then that allowed me to come to the US. And having the freedom and no attachments, I think you can put your heart and soul in the business. As you know, any entrepreneurship takes 24/7. I still work 80 hours a week, so it did take a lot. But having the freedom and nobody dependent on me was very liberating. I love it. I mean, I choose to be single because I love that I can do what I want without having the guilt of anything on my shoulder. So, but my business is like my baby. I enjoy it. So I mold it, build it, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's more of a hobby. Otherwise, you couldn't work this many hours if you didn't enjoy it. So I love what I do, and I just do what I love. So that's how I enjoy my life, and I'm very happy, and um, it's been great. I think
And
I'll do this till I can't work anymore.
that's right. And through all these years and all these years of friendships and love and hardship and building the business, I'm sure there are days you're like, why am I doing this? So my question, what inspires you? Because you're already a very rich woman. You don't have, sorry, I didn't mean to get personal, but you don't necessarily have kids to have the support. So what inspires you? The days that I'm sure you didn't want to get up in the morning, you're like, what am I doing this for? And you know how people are. So what inspires you every day to keep doing it 80 hours a day? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's a hobby. It doesn't feel like work. I love making a difference. So I like to take on very hard to do projects, like even the real estate development that we took on. Most people wouldn't touch it. No, so I go into areas like the most recent project was in the city of Lorraine, an abandoned historic building right on the lake and the river. It was abandoned for almost 18 years. No one would touch it because it doesn't cash flow. So I use the money from my accounting business to invest into these low income areas. And it was so catalytic and transformative that it gives me a lot of joy going in and transforming these areas. Since we opened the hotel, since we announced it, 18 new businesses came up on Broadway. That's right at the front of the hotel. And they're so happy and grateful for us coming in and doing this transformation to the city that no one would invest. Ours was the first hotel in 20 years in the city of Lorraine, population of almost 70,000 people, and not a single hotel because of the poverty there. So it's that kind of rewarding work that you do that makes you enjoy what you do. So I don't see it as work. It's like a hobby, going and doing things you enjoy. That's why I could retire anytime, but I choose not to because I feel I'm already retired because it's not work, it's fun, it's hobby. I just enjoy it.
Yes, and just for our listeners' purpose, I Miss Reddy and I go way, way back. We have seen each other like greeting customers in the front door. I mean, she's absolutely not too proud to do anything. She'll run to the kitchen because if the dining area is short of food and she didn't like something, she'll run to the kitchen and tell them we need more steak, we need more vegetables. I mean, I've seen her at play and at work, and she really treats her staff so nice. I mean, I'm one of your great fan and admirer. And
Thank you, Margaret Wong. Same mutually here. You've
thank
been
you.
wonderful and great friend, and I love how your story too. Just came over again with nothing, and look what you've done.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
such a really national recognized attorney from the
Oh,
Asian community. Very proud of you. You make us all Asians proud.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I think we are coming to the end of the show, and for people like our friends, thanks for listening and tuning into us and letting us know you are there for us. And thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. See you.
Yes,
Take care. Bye.
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.